No, I had stuff.
Hello, Robin. We're live.
I know.
Everybody, you are watching or listening to the Shit Talking podcast, and I'm your co-host, Christina.
And I'm Robin.
What were you going to say, Robin?
Well, I was going to say, and you're going to laugh at me, that I did research prior to the show, but I left it in my bag. I have research.
Would you like to go get it? Would you like to go get it?
You talk. I'm going to go grab some stuff out of my bag, guys.
Unless you're not wearing pants.
I thought about that. I was like, I'm going to shift out of the screen just in case.
She's getting out of her chair very carefully.
I know, but you guys can still hear me.
We had some technical difficulties, as happens sometimes when you're big-time podcast hosts, right?
I know. We did. I'm back. Sliding back into my chair. Okay.
All right. I'm not sure what research you had to do for the topic today, which, if you don't already know, people, is grown-ass women. We are grown-ass women. And what is that anyway?
I don't know, which is why I felt like I had to do some research. I always think that it's interesting, in my opinion, to see like what other people think about some of these topics. So sometimes I'll just Google something like, what does it mean to be a grown-ass woman? Just to see like what other people have to say about it, see if I agree. I don't always agree. But
yeah. Well, I will say that we've talked about this topic before, but this more recent occasion, what I was thinking, I remember I was in the car, I was driving home, and just, you know how these random thoughts just pop in your head. I was thinking how when we were very young, like college age, everybody would always refer to home as their parents' house. Like if anybody ever said home, you really meant not where I live. You meant where you grew up, where your parents are, right?
Right.
And it's strange to me that there are still people. I'm 45, you're 40.
I am.
And I still hear people like well into their 30s say that. And I find it a little odd at that age.
So maybe. I think that I still think of my parents' house as home, like it's still my home, but because it's where I grew up. Maybe it would feel a little different if my parents had moved somewhere else. Like maybe if they were not living in my childhood home, I might think of it as like, well, that's my parents' house as opposed to being my home. But what's funny about that comment is at one point I was doing something with my phone. I don't know, I got a new phone, something happened with my contacts. And so I was like rejiggering the contacts and it went to my parents' number and that was saved in my phone as home. It was my parents' phone number. And I remember changing it to mom and dad because it wasn't like a big thought process in my head. It wasn't like, oh my God, I cannot call this home anymore. But it was because I just so solidly thought of my home as home versus my home is home versus like my parents' house, like my mom and dad's house is now mom and dad in my phone, whereas my house number is home. Like that's, and I don't know if that had something to do with being grown. I don't know if it had something to do with the fact that you have your own, your own place that's yours. Like, I don't know if it would feel different if I were, if I owned a home versus renting a home. I mean, because I kind of feel like when I had apartments, my parents' house was still home. I was like, I got this apartment, but like that's home.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it just depends how you grew up. Because I lived with my grandparents and I did call that home for a long time. I don't really know when I stopped calling that home. When I would just refer to, well, back home. I don't know when I really stopped saying that. But probably in my 20s.
Oh, okay. I'm getting called out a little bit about my comments about having a house number. First of all, my dear cousin is calling me out in the comments. I do have a house number that has been assigned to me by Comcast. I do not know what that number is.
Is it even plugged in?
It's not. Like I actually, when I bought this house, there is a phone, like a wall phone that's plugged into my kitchen. It's just there. I don't think it's actually connected to anything, but it was just like here when I bought the house. But I don't technically have a home number. But I will say my parents still have a landline, and that is still the best way for me to contact them.
My mother has a landline.
If I call my parents on their cell phone, they may or may not answer. Whereas if I call them on the landline, they are much more likely to answer. Well, I'm going to just throw that out there.
Somebody recently asked me for a landline number. I don't know why they needed a landline number, and I'm thinking to myself, who has a landline?
I think anybody
really expects me to have a landline.
I think anybody over 65 probably still has a landline.
Yeah. Although I will say lately, I've been thinking that it would be nice to have a landline, only so I can get rid of my cell phone at night. I would really like to have the discipline to just turn my cell phone off at night, leave it downstairs in the kitchen, and not have this horrible addiction that I seem to have to it. But what does concern me about that is, what if there was some emergency? Like, what if my mom had an emergency? How would she call me? So that's where the landline comes in.
I hear what you're saying. But here's my thing. If there's an emergency, I'm just going to be honest about who I am. And maybe that's part of what makes me a grown-ass woman. I'm not your emergency person. I'm a horrible emergency person. Like, if like shit is really going down, please don't call me. Like, I'm not the person to say, like, oh my God, there's an emergency. What do we do? Like call 911, call like cooler headed people. Maybe I'm not I have to be secure and I'm not that person.
Like, I don't want
to. But they're still going to be dead in the morning, no?
What? You feel that way about your parents?
I'm not saying I feel that way about my parents, but my thing is, if they're dead at 2 a.m., let's just go and say the same. If they're dead at 2 a.m., they are still going to be dead at 8 a.m. Like, there's nothing I can do about. Now, the one thing I would feel bad about is if they were dying.
But what if,
and you kind of missed the goodbye window?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That would
I don't want to be a downer, but what if your mom's like, your dad, he's hanging on by a thread. He's waiting for you. And then you're like, you're going to spend the rest of your life thinking, well, the damn phone was off. I missed my chance.
And for the rest of your grown-ass life, like, if only I had a landline, everything would have been different if I just had a landline. Yeah, maybe.
I would get one of those old style, like, I think Bettina. Am I saying that right? I hope I'm not saying
you are.
Oh, okay. She says she has one of those old school phones that goes on the wall in the basement. I think I know what you're talking about, and I want one of those because I was watching something. I can't remember what show I was watching. I think if you watch Mad Men, you'll see them use the old phones that go on the wall and are rotary and have the long cord.
Do you want a rotary phone? Like, is that what you're looking for in life?
I just want that old cool phone that, you like actually has the big horn, and you want
to hold both sides of it. Like, you want to do like a hello, and like you actually have to hold the. Like, is that what you're looking? Well, you know what? Maybe that's part of what actually makes you a grown ass woman. It's kind of like what's old is new again, and you realize that all of this newfangled technology is not always the best.
Well, it's not. Makes me an old ass woman.
Yeah, maybe that's not a grown ass woman. That's an old ass woman. Like, what makes you, you're like, you guys and your newfangled. Like, I'm going to tell you right now. Speaking of newfangled, I got these newfangled these AirPods that I think you told me to get, Ms. Previtt.
Uh-oh.
So I got these, and like I keep feeling like they're going to fall out, and I know. Well, I got
to have big ears.
I think that I have small ears because I don't feel like they're jammed in there the way they're supposed to be. But when I spoke to my niece, who is very young and spry, and I said to her, like, don't you think these things are going to fall out of your ears? And they're not going anywhere.
Let's test it out. Do a headstand.
Please hold every. Yeah, but I think that's like maybe part of that's the growing up process, is that you're realizing like you don't need all this stuff, like all this stuff that everybody is telling you you need, and you need these headphones and this new phone. Like my phone, I'm going to show you guys. I don't even know what iteration of iPhone I have, but it's not like the new 12 or anything like that. And also, I don't know if you guys can see in my oldness, I did a lot of, I think this does make me old. I did a lot of shopping recently, and I actually put a picture on my phone that says, "You have food at home." That's what my lock screen says.
What if you don't have food at home, though? That's the thing.
I do. I got a BJ's membership, much to my chagrin, and I went hard in the paint. I lost my damn mind at BJ's. So I have a freezer full of food. I am stocked on both paper towels and toilet paper. But now I feel like I spent so much money at BJ's, and I'm like, I feel like the show is turning into like, you're an old ass woman, not you're a grown ass, because maybe there's old things. But like, I do tell myself, and maybe this is part of being a grown ass woman, is having a budget is important. Like spending money like it grows on trees is not the cool look. You know what I mean? So
it technically does grow on trees because it's paper.
Technically. So maybe I should throw all that out the window. Maybe it does grow on trees. But I
think a grown-ass woman has a BJ's membership.
Well, that only happened for me like last week.
Well, so you're a grown-ass woman now.
Here I am.
Arrived.
But I think like just knowing the value in certain things, like knowing the value, and like I want to make sure that my money stretches. And one of the things on this "what makes you a grown-ass woman" list had something to do with finances. But I also looked at Psychology Today, and I said like, what makes you an adult? And the first thing they said was like financial independence, emotional maturity, and I think some level of emotional independence. But I think that independence is kind of what you were talking about at the beginning of the show. Like your parents' house isn't home. You have your own space that you can call yours. You are somewhat independent in like where you live and maybe how you support yourself. Like, I don't know that's kind of the first thing I think of being a grown-ass woman, is like, I pay my own bills. That's the first thing that comes in my head.
Well, I think in general terms for me, it's when you're a kid, you look to your parents or whoever your authority figure is, you look to them when things just go to hell. And it's like, fix this. But it could be something really small. Fix this. Like, I made my sandwich wrong. Can you fix this? Or I spilled my milk. Can you clean it? And, it just kind of grows from there. And then I think there comes a point in your life when you don't find yourself needing them to fix this, right? It's kind of like being a lawyer. When I first started out, I felt like I rarely knew the answer to, how to fix a problem for a client or how to handle it, what to do. And I would be getting a lot of feedback from my boss. But then gradually over time, I was asking him less and less until I didn't really feel like I needed to ask him because I didn't know what to do. If I was talking to him about it, it was just because we were colleagues, bouncing ideas off of each other. So I think it's kind of similar to that.
So here's an interesting comment from Bettina. She says if she weren't paying her bills and if she had a sugar daddy, she's still a grown-ass woman.
Okay, that's true. But when you have a sugar daddy, didn't you? I mean, you kind of orchestrated that yourself, right? Like they survived by having sugar daddies.
You put that into, so it's to me almost the equivalent of having a job. As opposed to having a job, you have a sugar daddy. That's still like, if we were to take it to that level of what does financial independence mean, that means, well, if you're working for somebody else, you're not financially independent. Well, yeah, I still am financially independent, even though I technically, even now I don't work for somebody else. Although I do say that as opposed to having one boss, I have many, many bosses, because I'm like, all of my clients are now my boss. If they don't pay me, I don't get paid. So there's still somebody who's responsible for me getting paid. But I mean, you're still facilitating you taking care of yourself. So I think having a sugar daddy counts. That's my vote. Sugar daddy counts.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting comment. I'm trying to figure out what it is that's different, because it's not just about the who's actually writing the checks or, paying the bills. I mean, those checks don't come free when you got a sugar daddy, but your parents kind of do, right? I mean,
yeah, but I also think that your parents do have some moral obligation to take care of you. Like they brought you onto this earth, and morally that's what they signed up for. You know what I mean? Like they signed up for, we have, these tiny humans that we have to take care of, and we have to financially support them, and we have to make sure that they eat, and we have to make sure that they do things the right way. And then we send them off like little baby birds. Like, I think they know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say it's definitely something that just happens gradually over time. And sometimes parents don't want to let you go. I think I've told you that there are some people that I know where their kids are like in their 30s and they were still making their doctor appointments. And I just thought that was weird.
Do you watch this show? You probably don't, but it's on TLC, and it's like a show about basically like mama's boys. Like, and so I think it's called like either I'm Dating a Mama's Boy or something like that. And it's basically about like these women that are in relationships with these men, but their mothers are so overbearing and like do everything for them. Like they want to live in the house with them. They want to make dinner for them. They want to come over and say like, I'm going to cook for you. Kind of what you're saying, like I'm making your doctor's appointments. And I think that what that really lends itself to is such a low level of emotional maturity that I don't even think they should be in a damn relationship. Like, if you can't make your own doctor's appointment, please do not date me. Like, please. Like, I don't have time. Because I don't want to then substitute and be your mom. Like, I don't.
My friend Lauren says it's also every man on Bumble. Well, yeah, that's a turnoff. And I think that's where the grown-up thing comes in, right? Is when we want to date somebody, we want to date a man. We want to date a grown-ass man, right? Grown-ass woman wants a grown-ass man. And that's someone who can take care of business without mama.
Yeah, I think so. But here's one of the things you said that I question, right? Like you were talking about, fixing problems. Like you don't really expect your parents to fix your problems anymore. But I'm going to tell you this right now. When shit gets real, I call my mom. Like when I really don't know what to do, whether it's a life problem, if it's a work problem, if it doesn't matter what it is. Like I'll still call, not for something like my toilet's broken, what am I supposed to do? Like, yes, that problem I can fix. Or, I need to make a doctor's appointment. But if I'm kind of like, should I leave my job and start my own law firm? I'm calling my mom. Like, for sure. Like, for sure. I'm calling my mom.
I mean, your mother's not making the decision for you. You're just getting her feedback.
No. So maybe that's the point where we're like differentiating a little bit. Like, is the parent fixing your problem, or is the parent just advising you? Or maybe being a sounding board and you're making your own decision.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you ever don't need your parents. I mean, you want them to be involved. I mean, they've influenced you your whole life. I think where the independence comes in is where you take ownership over your own life and you make your own decisions. It doesn't mean you don't get feedback from them or value their input, but the person that is a grown-ass woman, or really should be, looks like one on the outside, but crumbles every time there's any kind of problem and are incapable of making a decision. And then their parents have to come to the rescue. To me, that is not a grown-ass person.
Right. And I don't even think that's gender specific. Yeah. I think that's just right. Like, that's not exactly what you said. That's not a grown-ass person. Like, when we're looking at these people that we're calling like the mama's boys, and like my parents have to do everything for me, or I'm living in my parents' basement, or whatever the case may be. The reality is that man or woman, that behavior is going to transfer into the rest of your life. And I don't think anybody wants to date that person. Like,
No.
you know, like how you said, a grown ass man wants to date a grown ass woman. And I think it's because you don't, you know, that man doesn't want, I mean, not even to use the sugar daddy reference, but they don't want to be your dad. They don't want to be like, well, you know, what am I supposed to do? Or you need to fix this problem for me, or you need to pay this for me, or I got myself into trouble because I don't know how to deal with my own life and you have to fix it. Like, nobody wants that kind of pressure.
I think a normal, emotionally mature man doesn't want that, but there are some guys that, I mean, we have divorce clients like that, the man was the one who made all the decisions. The wife just deferred to the husband. And I don't know. I think sometimes there are women who sort of like that because then they don't have to make decisions and they don't have to have real responsibility. Someone else is just handling it. Sometimes that's the reason the marriage broke up.
Yeah, but I think the same happens vice versa too. Like I have, you know, clients that are women and the man did nothing.
Yes,
like
that's true.
You know, and sometimes even the man is my client. Like they'll come in and I say, okay, so, you know, let's go and do a case information statement. Let's go through what your expenses are. And they literally have no idea. Well, where are your bank accounts? I don't know. My wife always paid the bills. Even if they made the money, sometimes they said like, I made the money. I would deposit my check would go in direct deposit and the bills got paid. I don't know. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how much we spent on groceries. Like, I don't have that information. What's interesting is you were saying how sometimes like guys like that, like they're like, they want somebody that they have to do everything for, or I don't know if have to, maybe sometimes they put themselves in that position where that's just the only option is I'm doing everything, which may be a different power dynamic. That is a whole different show. But it's so funny. Sometimes they sit in my office and then they complain about it. They're like, oh, she's nothing. I had to do everything. I had to pay every bill. She didn't know anything. She didn't take care of anything. And you're kind of like, well, that's the bed you made. Like, what do you want me to do about it now? You know?
Yeah. Well, there are people who do that and they'll complain, but they don't realize that, like you said, they set it up that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like they want to complain. Well, I have to do everything, you know, because she won't. But it's like, okay, but did you ever talk to her about it? Did you ever say, here's the checkbook. I want you to start paying the bills. I don't want to do it anymore. And let her do it. Let her fail at it. But she'll learn. Let her do it. Right? Like, I don't know. We might be going off into another topic.
It's shocking that that's something we would do on this show, is go off on a tangent about another topic. Very odd of us. Well, I want to talk about my list. Can I tell you the list that I found?
Yeah. Is this a different list than you talked about previously, Robin?
It is.
Oh, goody.
Indeed it is. So this list talks about the difference between an overgrown girl versus a grown-ass woman.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Hello. All right. So the first one is, I think, kind of self-explanatory. It's saying overgrown girls want attention, grown women want respect. I don't know. What do you think about that? I think that you can be a grown woman and you still want attention.
Yeah, I think you want both. And I think your need for respect should certainly outweigh your need for attention. Because what do girls do for attention? They, you know, have their boobs hanging out. They, you know, wear.
Hello, listeners.
A little more than you do right now, Rob. You know, I mean, like, we've all been in the bar where you suddenly see two girls like dancing on a pole, and you like, they're doing it, unless they're really strippers, they're doing it for attention. They want everyone to look at them. Okay, right? I mean, yeah. I would be a little sad if you did that one day, Robin, when we went out.
I can tell you the last time I've danced on a pole. It was at my very good friend Natalia Tapia's bachelorette party, and we went to like the pole dancing instruction. I was horrible at it, and that told me a couple of things. It told me, number one, that I do not have the core strength to be a stripper. That's what I learned. I learned that while people think it would be an incredibly sexy thing to do, if they took video of that room, nothing sexy was in that room. It was like a bunch of very tired and exhausted, heavy breathing women, like, like it was
not
that.
heavy breathing because they were, like
no, not like in a breathy way. Like it was heavy breathing, like, oh my God. And they're telling you to wear heels. So like we're literally in like yoga pants and heels. Like there was nothing sexy about the pole dancing. I'm just throwing it out there. But no, I don't think that I would do that for attention. It would be negative attention. And I kind of think that's what I got from this number one is attention versus respect. I think that grown-ass women do want attention, but we want attention for good things. Like we want attention for like, man, she built a great business. Or man, she's a great mother. Or man, she's like, like we want attention for those things, not attention for like, did you see her get drunk and like make out with some chick in the bar? Like,
yeah,
that's the attention I want right now.
Yeah, I mean, some of it could be, a little bit more risque. Like, we want to dress nice. We want to look sexy. We want somebody to say, "Wow, she really fills out that suit nice." But you don't, we're gone are the days of wearing, some mini dress with, hot pink hoops to just have that be like, bam, look at that. Right? Don't people say like when you see somebody like that, it's like, oh, that's so sad. She's trying too hard.
I think that we all see those people that it's very clear that they're craving attention. And this is not to bash women, even though we've been accused of male bashing. So this is not to bash women. I think that you can tell when someone is looking for attention. And when someone, and this is kind of answering Bettina's question of why is that bad? To me, there's a difference between you doing something in your own confidence because you feel good and that's just what you want to do, and doing something because you're craving attention to fill a void somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there are certain people that, and I think you can tell the difference. Like even when you're talking about like the mini dress and the hot pink hoops, you can tell the girl that's just rocking it because I'm like, that's just her look and that's what she does and she's good. Like everybody talks about like, well, maybe not so much anymore, but this will show my age. But like it was the same controversy with Lizzo. Like everybody was kind of like, oh my God, why is she always naked? But in her opinion, she's like, because that's just how I want to be. Like, I don't necessarily think she was doing it for attention. Maybe she was an entertainer or is an entertainer. But like, I think she was kind of like, all right.
I think that there's like with, Bettina raises a good point. It's not like there's this hard and fast rule. Like if I automatically see a girl a woman wearing a dress, a tight dress and, big plastic hoops, I don't know. I mean, I'm not automatically going to think, oh, she just wants attention. It's kind of like an ensemble, right? It's like, well, what is she wearing? How is she behaving?
Yeah.
Some of it's kind of like you can't really put your finger on it, but you just know it when you see it.
Well, I think that it's funny because then when I read this list, and even if we use that example, there may be some things on this list that are competing because one of the things on the list is that it's saying that, overgrown girls compete with each other, whereas grown-ass women empower each other. So if you're tearing down someone because of what they're wearing, that's not necessarily empowering. It's kind of like, you know what, girl, do you? Like,
yeah.
And I think that as a grown-ass woman, you probably care a little less about what other people are doing. Like, even if you see somebody out and they're kind of making a fool of themselves, I think we're a little bit more likely as a grown-up to just kind of be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you want to be the woman who wears the tight dress and the big hoops and that's your jam, then do it, right? Like, who cares what we think about it? If that's what you want to do, then do it.
Well, that's on the list too, which is overgrown girls care too much about what other people think of them, whereas grown-ass women are too busy to even worry about opinions. So I almost think that even if you have someone who is judging you, if you're in that space, of that headspace of I'm grown and I don't care, and maybe it is I'm grown, I don't care, I pay my own bills, I'm independent, I take care of myself. So if I go out and I look crazy, who really cares? Like, who cares what somebody thinks?
Yeah, I think sometimes you just get a sense from people, though, if they really are confident and they're just, they dress a certain way or act a certain way because they're just unapologetic and that's just who they are. And then sometimes you get a sense from people that they're actually very insecure and lacking confidence. I think you can just sense that from people.
I think some people can sense it. I don't know. Like, I think people that are sometimes a little bit more in tune, and I don't know if you can sense it right away. I think once you get to know somebody, you might get a better sense of like, wow, like I think that there might be a confidence issue there, and that's why this person is seeking so much attention. And like I said, man or woman, like you might know a guy who's like the life of the party, and like he goes in and he's loud and he's like, but really there are just insecurities there. And that's why, he's so loud. That's why he always has to be the life of the party, because like he needs like everybody to like, it's a very look at me kind of thing. And I do think that maybe when you do get a little bit older, you kind of get a little bit less of that. Like you don't really care if people are looking at you. You're just kind of like, whatever, I'm here. Like I'm here to do what I need to do. I'm at this party to have a good time and meet people. Maybe I'm not at the party to meet people. Maybe I'm at the party because it's good food and there's an open bar. I don't know why I'm at the party, but whatever the reason, I'm here. I'm going to fulfill that reason, and I don't really care. Like I don't care if people remember who I am. Yeah,
I think that's true. You just kind of stop caring so much. I think I stopped caring a lot about dress and things like that with this pandemic. Because when we were home, you didn't have to get all dressed up. All that maintenance was gone and it was so freeing. It was actually so nice. And
so I missed the maintenance. I didn't miss the cost of it. But I think that on some level, like I just missed getting like dressed up. Like I remember there was one time in the middle of all of this where I actually said to my boyfriend, I go like, why don't we just like get, like, even though we're home and we're just going to have dinner, like, why don't we get like dressed up and we can just like sit here and have dinner and like, I'll put on makeup and like, I'll go like take something out of my closet and like, we can get dressed up. He thought it was insane, to be fair. He was like, why would we do that?
Did he do it?
He did not. He does. Like, I want you to understand, I do not have the humor me boyfriend. Like, I do not have the boyfriend that's like, I'm going to do this stupid thing to humor her. Like, he's going to be like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So he was not into it. But like for me, like I like dressing up. Like I like putting on makeup. I like doing my hair. Like not really doing it, but I like it being done. But like I kind of missed it, and kind of to Bettina's point, I do dress up for anything now. In fact, Bettina and I joked that I can't remember what it was I was supposed to. Oh, it was a dress I have. And I was like, man, I want to wear that dress. And one day I said, you know what? I'm just going to put on the damn dress and come sit on your porch. Like, who cares at this point? Like, it's a damn pandemic. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Put on the damn dress and go sit on somebody's porch. Because that's all we have right
now.
That's
funny you should bring that up because I have this teddy bear coat. What is that what they call them? Or teddy coat? I don't remember.
I know exactly what
it's big fuzzy coats. And I got it at the end of last winter, I guess it was. It was on sale. It was like heavily marked down. So I bought it and it's pink. It's like a light pink. And
I love it.
I kept thinking like, oh man, it's cold out today. We're in Jersey. So it's so cold today. And I wanted to wear this coat. And I was thinking like, oh, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't wear the coat. Maybe it's a little too dressy. And what if I get it dirty and on and on. And then I was like, you know what? You bought the damn coat to wear it. Why are you going to just leave it in the closet and just wait for the perfect moment? It's got to be the right occasion to wear the coat. So I wore the coat today.
You wore the coat?
I did, and it's so warm.
good.
Right?
Well, I think that that's, again, like owning your grownness of like, I'm going to do what I want to do, whether it makes sense to other people or not. So, for example, for my 40th birthday, I bought myself a handbag. It was pricey, but I wanted it. Okay. So I was talking to some of my work colleagues about this bag, and they're kind of like, oh, well, make sure that you keep the dust bag so that when you could put it away and like you can take it out for your special occasions. I wear that damn bag every day. I was like, I'm wearing it to work. What are you talking about? Like, I'm not going to make an investment in something just to look at it, just to have it in my closet because I don't want to touch it and I don't want to get it dirty. And I think that maybe part of that is once you grow up a little bit, you're kind of like, okay, so let's say I ruin this bag. Okay, so what?
Yeah, you know what? So what? It's a material possession.
It's a thing. And I would rather that, and for me to be able to say like, wow, I ruined that bag, but I got my wear out of it. I enjoyed it. I wore it where I want to wear it. I wore it to work. I wore it to, because that's kind of the only place I go. So I wore it to the office. I wore it home. I wore it back to the office. I wore it home. But like, if that's the only place I'm going, I'm not going to buy something just to like have it sit in a closet because I don't want to live it. Like I want to live my life. And like you said, stuff is stuff. It's not that important.
And a grown-ass woman can just decide to wear the coat or use the bag or whatever.
Right. Or drink the wine during her podcast.
Drink the wine.
Right.
What kind of wine is that?
So this is a Riesling and it's super sweet.
Oh, I love Riesling.
It's a little sweet for me. Yeah, but it's the only white I had. So I was in a white mood.
I have a good Riesling that is not too sweet. It's called Clean Slate. And if my friend Lauren is watching, she knows because we're obsessed with it. And when we see each other, one of us has a bottle.
I'm going to have to try that Clean Slate.
It's so cheap too. It's like kind of embarrassing. It's like $12 or something, but it's really good.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else I like on this list. It does talk about drinking on the list.
It does?
It does. It says, tell me what you think. I feel like this is controversial because I don't know how I feel about this. It's saying overgrown girls drink away. Grown women hold their liquor.
No, stop it.
That's what it says. That's what it says.
Who published this?
I don't remember. And you always ask me that. And I'm like, I don't know. I found this list somewhere. But here is the text under that. It says, girls believe that getting drunk is funny and attractive. Women know their limits enough not to get drunk because getting wasted is unattractive. I don't like that description. I don't care about being attractive versus unattractive. Here's what I will tell you. I will tell you I don't like getting drunk because I don't want a hangover. Like, I don't like the way it feels to be drunk. I don't care about being unattractive. Like, I don't know that I look at it from the same perspective of like, but like, I'll be more attractive if I can hold my liquor. I think it's more like, I just don't really want to be drunk. It doesn't really feel good anymore. Like, there's a place that feels good.
Yeah.
Feels like that, like I'm tipsy, but I still know what's going on and I'm still in a good place. Like, that's what feels good. So like the room is spinning does not feel good.
Oh man, no, those days are over. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if you're that sloppy girl at the company party who's, got a lampshade on her head and her dress up over her head.
I recall going to a work party, and I'm not going to say which employer, and I'm certainly not going to say which colleague. But what I will say is that at this work party, everyone got a little drunk, and at some point, this woman's shirt came off. And meanwhile, in my head, I'm kind of like, you are literally with your work people.
Oh
like,
my God.
I'm never going to be that drunk where I'm like, woo, let's take off clothes.
Did she have a bra on?
At first.
No, Robin, stop. She took her bra off? Everyone saw her tatas?
Well.
Oh my God.
In her defense, it was a pool party.
Oh, okay.
She did not have a bathing suit. So she felt, let me just take my clothes off and get in the pool. Was that the call I would have made at the work party? No. Who am I to judge? Okay, like, who am I?
I just don't think that you should know what your coworkers' nipples look like. Just
well,
I'm old-fashioned.
I'm an old-fashioned gal, and I don't think I should know what my coworkers' nipples look like. That's correct. So after the shirt came off, there came a point where she then felt, oh, just take my bra off.
Oh my God.
So I do think that and she was very young, and I do think that you do get to a point where you understand time and place. I'm not against skinny dipping. If you want to go skinny dipping, skinny dip away. I'm just not doing it with my coworkers. That's not time and place. You know what I mean? Like I think it's okay to get, like, if you want to get drunk, if I want to get completely trashed and be sloppy and throwing up, I know where I can do that and with whom I can do that. Bettina's one of those people with whom I can do it. But you know time and place. Like, you're not going to do that at the company party. You're not going to do that when you go to your in-laws. You're not going to do, like, there are places where you know this is not.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of this, like, being a grown-up process. And maybe you do need to make those non-grown-ass women mistakes, because I'm sure that this poor girl is mortified. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I took my top off at the party.
I don't know. She could be like, I'm one of the cool kids. Everybody thinks I'm a real blast. But they don't realize that, no, they don't respect you. They think you're a joke.
You do hear about these wild office parties, though. Like, Bettina's talking about that. Like, you hear stories about the office parties get so crazy that some offices, like, stop throwing the office party. And to be fair, Bettina is my HR guru. So as the HR guru, I would think to myself, like, if your office party is literally a lawsuit waiting to happen, maybe it's a good idea to stop throwing them.
Don't serve alcohol at it.
You know what? There was one, it's a law firm, but there's one law firm I know of that for that reason, they stopped having office, like, parties at night, and they just made it like an office lunch. So that,
I don't know. I think those people just need to get out more, because, you know, I've been to a lot of events where there were married with children people there, and they would just get out of control. You know, they'd be out all night and acting crazy and getting drunk and loud and you know, things like that, tops coming off. And I didn't feel like I needed to do that, you know, because I'm single. I have a boyfriend, but we're single. We don't have children. You know, I don't feel the need to go crazy when I go to an event, because I could do that at home if I want to. So I think some of those people just, they're like a wild animal that has been let out of a cage.
A caged animal.
Yes.
Like, I mean, yeah. And it's very funny because I know that those types of events that you speak of, I've been to some of those events where you see people and you're kind of like, wow, you really don't get it. Like, this is your time. This is really your time to shine right now, because you are, like, going 0 to 100. Like, we're going out and we're drinking and we're doing shots. And meanwhile, I'll be at the same event and I'm like, all right, it's like 11. I think I'm good.
Like, I got my bunny slippers upstairs, and
you folks have fun at whatever is happening right here. So here's a funny topic, and I think that Christina and I are both in this boat. Bettina says that boyfriend definitely equals single when you're a grown-ass woman. So here's what I'll say about that.
Yeah.
I mean, according to the government, I'm single.
Well, I mean, technically, I'm single. I'm an unmarried person.
Correct. Like, when you fill out the census, you're single. You are single.
Does the census now have something like living with partner? I think it does. No, I don't.
I know it asks who lives in your house. See, the thing fell out. It fell out.
Oh my
God! Lied to me. They lied to me, Apple.
Are those are the Apple Pods Pro? I don't know.
This is the Pro. This is the Pro. They fell out my damn ear. Whatever. You're in now. We'll see.
But but Tina's right. At some point, right? You're single. If you're not married, you're single. I mean, I think I preface it with boyfriend because it usually you don't want like dudes to be like, oh, she's single. Well, kind of. I mean, not married, but
I have actually been hit on where a guy says to me, "Are you married?" And I say, "No, but I have a boyfriend." And they go, "I didn't ask if you had a boyfriend. I asked if you were married." Like, guys out here don't care. They're like, look, if you don't have a ring, if you are not legally attached, you are fair game. It's savage in the streets, Christina. Well, I mean, it's savage out there.
Fair game if you're married. People playing that game.
Right. Like, I mean, what I will say is some people, the marriage doesn't stop them. So, yeah. I guess that doesn't really matter. But I do think that when you get to a certain age, though, like, I think that saying boyfriend sounds a little silly because I feel old. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I should say like my partner, my significant other, but like significant other is too long. It's too many syllables.
But who are you saying it to, and why? Do we have to come up with a convenient title to satisfy everyone else? Like, I don't need to explain, and you don't, nobody needs to explain their relationship to people.
No, you don't have to explain your relationship, but I'm just saying, like, that's the issue in my grown-ass woman head. I feel like a boyfriend sounds juvenile.
Yeah, like, I know, I do too.
Like, it just sounds a little like I'm not 15. So to be like, well, I'm going on vacation with my boyfriend. And it's like,
I have a class
you're 40. Like, you're 40. Like, what do you mean you're boyfriend? You're 40.
Like, remember when girls would do that? They would have the class ring. Well, I don't know. They did that upstate New York when I lived up there for a bit. They would take the boyfriend's class ring, and it was always too big, and then they would wrap like string around it to make it fit. Did you ever see anybody do that?
I didn't. Well, we didn't. We weren't big class ring people at my high school.
And then they would wear it on a chain around their neck.
I've heard of that, but like even when I was in high school, I didn't even get a class ring.
I didn't get one.
It wasn't like a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're hearing from the comments is that significant other has a connotation that maybe you are in a lesbian relationship. I think partner does.
Yeah, I think I used to refer to my boyfriend as like my partner, but then I realized, well, some people might think that means I'm gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not. So I wouldn't want to represent myself that way. And then significant other, I don't know. I guess that sounds so like, I don't know, official or just formal, It
is very formal. Like, it is to be like, well, my significant other and I, and who's to say your other is significant? Like, I feel like we're making a lot of assumptions right now. Like, what if it's just your other?
Yeah. So see, because of all this is why I just I just go back to boyfriend, even if it sounds juvenile.
And I think you kind of have to, because you do want to say like, I am with someone. So I am in a relationship with someone who is important enough to have some form of title in my life. Like, it's not like some dude I'm dating. You know what I mean? But it's not a husband. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting to me that people like exactly what we're talking about, as people will make judgments about your relationship based upon whether someone's your husband or your boyfriend. Like, it's
that's true.
It's less significant because you're not married. Like what we're saying is, well, if he ain't put a ring on it, then you are single. Like, that's really
but what if, because isn't the whole point of being a grown-ass person being true to yourself and what you want and what's right for you. So what if you are a person who you don't want to get married? Like, what if that's just not what you want?
And that's a lot of people now. A lot of people
Right.
are doing that.
Right. So like you want to tell the world that the person that you're with is significant to you. Like, this is my life partner. This is the person I choose to walk through life with. But that does not mean that I want the government all up in my business. Like, maybe I don't want to get married. Maybe I don't want, like,
Or you. I don't want you all up in my business too.
right. I don't want you in my business. I don't want the government in my business, and I don't want you in my business, you know? So I don't know. Like, I don't know that having that like hard stop of, if you're not married, then this relationship doesn't mean as much.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's fair, because there are some people that just don't want to get married, but that doesn't mean their relationship doesn't mean anything.
But isn't that why we don't like the boyfriend term? Because it suggests something juvenile and less meaningful.
So Crystal says, just say you got a man. Me and my man are going on vacation.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, we can take it back. Like, it feels a little 90s to me, Crystal. I'm not going to lie to you. Saying like, I got a man feels a little 90s, but like
very in vogue.
Yeah, exactly.
That song.
No, there was a song that was like, I got a man. What's your man got to do with me?
That too, yeah.
Does anybody know what song that was? I'm going to look that up. It was a good song. But I mean, even in that instance, it was a man hitting on a woman who was saying, I got a man. And he's like, what's your man got to do with me?
So they didn't really say whether they were married or just boyfriend, girlfriend, which proves our point that it didn't matter.
Well, I feel like, to sum up, right? I think when it comes to being hit on, if somebody's hitting on you, sometimes people are just sleaze bags. It doesn't matter if you're married or not. So that may not make a huge difference. Well, I know the song is I Got a Man, but what's the song? Or I Got a Macho. Well, no.
Now I have to look now. Is someone going to Google this for us? I got to do it now while I'm on here.
Right. I know it's a 90s song. I know it's I Got a Man. I can sing the song for you, but I haven't had it.
Does that sound familiar?
What is it?
Positive K.
That sounds familiar. It could be Positive K.
Yeah. I Got a Man by Positive K.
I Got a Man. That is the song. Thank you, guys. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things that are on this list.
We really deviated there.
We always do. Like, I feel like for you listeners out there that really like ride with us every week, I almost think that they say to the point, like, why do they post a topic anymore? Like, why do we even
just
even post a topic?
Point.
Right. That is just a launch pad for the shit talking to come. It really should show up like, what do Robin and Christina want to talk about today? That's fine. And we'll start with the topic, and maybe we'll keep to the topic, and perhaps we won't. But what I will say is my favorite one on this list is, it's a long list, guys.
Oh
my favorite one on this list is overgrown girls seek revenge. Grown women let karma do the work. I think it took me a while to get there. Yeah, like to get to the point where someone can wrong me and I'm just like,
I think it's true.
You'll get yours. It's okay.
I mean, that doesn't mean stuff doesn't piss you off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think you can be a grown ass person and get pissed off and be mad and have emotion about things. But I think you do kind of get to a point where you can like woosah and go like, you know what? I'm not going to spend my time worrying about this person getting their comeuppance. And then grown people say things like comeuppance. That's not a young person word. So you're like, I know that this person's going to get their comeuppance, and that's fine. It is. Natalia says karma takes too long. Slash tires now and apologize.
Don't apologize. That's an acknowledgement of guilt.
Right. The lawyers here say do not apologize in court. Admit nothing in court. No
Never talk
apologies.
to the police. I never understand why on Law and Order. How do they get all these people in the interrogation room to just spill their guts?
Well, I think mostly because it's a TV show.
Yes,
that's probably a lot of it. That's probably a lot of it.
But it's annoying.
Well, I think every single, I mean, we could probably have a whole other show about our annoyance at legal shows. Because
Yes,
I think watching any legal show, I'm like, it does not happen that way. That never happens. And the worst part of it is whenever there's a trial and the attorneys are like brilliantly eloquent and they have like this wonderful closing argument and like the jury is in tears and it's just kind of like, you know,
yes,
whatever it is. And I remember the one of the first times I actually had a trial. And my mom was like, I want to come see your trial. Can I come see your trial? And I remember saying to her, I know you watch things on TV, but I need you to understand that a divorce trial is incredibly boring.
It sure
is incredibly boring.
For everybody.
For everybody, including for the attorneys. Like there are times I'm asking the question and I'm like, okay, so how much was your mortgage? And then how much was it's boring me, people. It's
and
boring
then they don't
me.
know. And then they act like they don't know. And you're like, we've gone through this like 25 times. How do you not know the answer?
Right. If I were to show you your case information statement, would you know how much your mortgage is? Permission to approach the witness. How much is your damn mortgage? Like, it's just so boring. It's so boring. Like, it's nothing like television at all. But, oh my God, right. Legally Blonde is another one. I love the movie, but none of that happens. Like, you're not going to win an entire murder trial based upon your knowledge of, you know, hair perms. It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't. Well, I remember one time I was watching some movie and the people that were supposed to be getting married decided that, you know, they weren't in love. And so they called off the wedding. But then it was one of those shows where like the groom was really in love with one of the bridesmaids or the wedding planner or something like that. So
was it The Wedding Planner?
I don't remember what movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
It might have happened in that movie, but I don't remember which movie it was, because what really bothered me about it was that then the other two people decided that they were going to get married. So they stood in front of whoever was officiating the wedding to get married. And I'm like, that could never happen. They don't have a marriage certificate.
You didn't get a marriage license. You can't just get married right now.
They didn't even get a waiver. I mean, who would have done that right then and there? And Russ is like, stop it. Okay, it's a movie. Just stop. Don't be a lawyer right now. So it's little things like that. It's so annoying.
It's tough. Well, I feel like we have accomplished talking about a whole lot of shit on this shit talking.
We sure have.
I don't know what exactly this show is about, guys. But what I will say is I want to thank everyone who commented. Thank you for participating. You guys are part of our show and we appreciate you. And what's your takeaway? I always want to know what your takeaway is. What is your takeaway, Christina?
Well, I think our takeaway is that, and the message is that we are grown-ass women. You and me are, and I can tell from the women that have been commenting that they are too. Because they wouldn't have been able to engage the way they did if they weren't.
And the men commenting too are some grown-ass men.
The men are grown-ass women too. No.
Right. The commenting men were also some grown-ass women. Yeah. We're some grown-ass people. Well, I don't know what my takeaway is, that I feel like I should more often use the word comeuppance. That's my takeaway.
And I would like to come to BJ's with you sometime so I could stock up on some shit. So
you should. That's grown activity right there.
And
if you want to be grown, stock up.
What I like about those places is that, like, no, Costco does it, but they have little free samples of food all around the store. Oh, they probably don't do that now.
Not during the Rona. Not during the Rona.
Actually, they were doing that at Costco the other day.
I don't know, but at BJ's, like, I could see the place where the sample should be. And I was kind of like, I would like a crab cake ball right now. Like, I would like whatever cheese you would be giving out at this station. There was no cheese to be had, Christina. There was nothing.
That's just not right.
Nothing.
Well, we're going to have to go out to dinner again before they close everything down. So
we will. I think it's imminent. So everybody stay safe out there. Be safe.
Yeah, stay safe, guys. And thank you so much for your participation. The show is not the same without you guys.
It isn't. Have a great week, everyone.
Yep. And we'll be here next week, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you guys next week.
Bye.